January 18th, 2026, I have a reoccurring guest and a good friend of mine, Dennis Beavers. He has started 2 insurance agencies from the ground up, rural insurance agencies, and he is a cattle and hay farmer from Athens. He led the USDA agency for the state of Tennessee, and it's going to be a great discussion. No telling where this is going to go. So you got your daughter going to church tonight?
We're going to church tonight. We're got a youth retreat they're planning, and a lot of the kids are kind of getting ready to do that. That's the wintertime thing that happens, and it's part of the parenting deal. You know, you got kids in school, they've got activities they do, and you're part of it. And that's the way we've parented for a long time. So.
If they want to go to church, you take them.
That's right. That's right. So we got a deadline to do after we get done with this today, so we can get to church on time. So,
is this in Athens?
Decatur. We got a youth group over there at the Methodist Youth Group that she likes to go to. So it works out pretty good, and got a lot of friends and good people. You go Highway 30? Yeah.
There?
Yeah. My farm's on Highway 30.
I was over there about 3 weeks ago doing a small job, and I really like that town. It's a nice drive, isn't it?
A lot of good people. You've got, the Highway 30 corridor has come a long way in the last 20 years, you know, from Etowah to Athens and Athens to Decatur, and now I think the state's going to be doing some work when you cross the river bridge over there going into Old Washington, going toward Dayton. They're going to be doing some upgrades, which is badly needed. I mean, you get off the white line there, there's some holes that's on the side of 30 could swallow a Volkswagen.
No bicycle riders on
No bicycle riders on that side of 30 over there. So
I like going. It's just far enough where you can think something through.
You can be in the country.
And then by the time you get there, you say, okay, here's what I'm going to do.
But things are starting to explode. Since Trump has closed down the southern border, they've not done anything with the Mason-Dixon line, so all the Yankees from up north are coming down, and homesteaders, and you can't blame them. I mean, we don't have an income tax in this state, and they're fleeing, and I just hope they leave the politics that they had up there in the northern states there, and they adapt and assimilate to our style of doing things here.
I've noticed a lot of them just think they want to be like us. They get down here and think, they get to thinking different.
Well, I've worked with several different groups, in the last couple of years moving in, and all I can say is there's an explosion going on in our part of the world. I mean, Bradley County has already exploded, and we're seeing, more and more happen here in Bradley County. But, and I describe it, Rhea County is going through a gilded age because you've got all these mega houses going up on the river. I'm talking about huge houses. In fact, I think one of the largest homes in Rhea County is under construction at over 10,000 square feet. And then you've got the ladies that are leaving Hamilton County, coming up to live with their kids, and they're building a mother-in-law cottage, and those mother-in-law cottages are about $400,000 each. So the cost of what is happening now is just unreal with all the materials that's being used, all the different contractors that are busy. We're exploding in our end of the state.
You know what a cabinet pull cost? Like just the cabinets, just the knob on the cabinet.
Well, they're probably $4 or $5
About
each.
$7.
Okay.
You figure there's 30 on the cabinet. It's just bizarre, isn't it?
I've never seen this type of cost. I mean, just the huge influx of just how costs have went up. And just to do business, everybody talks about how tough it is for the farmers to do business, and we've had that discussion a little bit before, and we saw some, the national news has portrayed that, but you look at what contractors and small business, and I mean, just to be able to stay in business, to endure the cost of just doing business has went through the roof. I mean, your fuel costs, your fixed costs have just went up.
I've been hearing recently that rents, that the influx of houses is causing some of the rents to go down. And I had a guy tell me that that was a bad economy. And I thought, not if you're renting. If you're renting, it's a good economy. So a lot of times the economy depends on if you're pitching or catching.
Well, I've always felt if you've got more disposable income to put out there, the economy's getting better.
Right.
So if you take someone's money out there, you basically take everything out of the check that they make. They don't have that disposable income.
Yeah.
That's where you have a tight economy. That's where you have your recessions. I mean, it's going to, if we can figure out ways to reduce some prices and costs to where there's more disposable income, then you can kind of see that your economy grows at a steadier pace than just, like a roller coaster, pretty much. You don't want the roller coaster effect in your economy. Right. You want a smoother sail than up and down all the time.
Maybe it's just needed for a long time to go up, and now it's starting. Maybe.
Well, I'm hoping so, and I think you're seeing President Trump do some things that sort of made everybody scratch their heads. Whether you agree with tariffs or not, the old man's been pretty much right about some things, and
so far.
and he's proven everybody else would be wrong. So until until he has an issue where it hangs up, right now he's not hung his dress on a barbed wire fence. I mean he's everything's been pretty smooth, so he's done a great job for the country.
He's this latest thing. I'm not sure if I'll probably mess this up, but some of the big banks are able to put all their money into the Federal Reserve and make interest off of it, whereas they weren't allowed to do that before 2008. Am I messing that up?
I'm not sure about how you just put that, but I will tell you, I do know that one of the big things for rural people is that we've needed ag lending for a long time, and I think he has definitely tried to straighten that up compared to what we had 4 years ago. Previous administration only appointed one person on the Farm Credit Board, and that did not go over too well. I mean, we still had problems there, but what I see happening, he's trying to, see that farmers and rural people are able to get the money that they need. And in return, I think the banks are going to try to start working better with contractors and small business and those people that are, making the trains run every day. I mean, you've got a lot going on a daily basis.
Who else are they going to lend to?
That's right.
I can't figure that one out.
Well, I mean, they went through a period, and I think lending is going to be a lot better since Trump's finally getting control of the Federal Reserve. I think lending is going to be better. They went through a period there that if you were late with your third grade lunch money, they wouldn't loan you any money.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and if you've been in business at any time and you've lived off of one check a month, or whenever the job gets completed and stuff like that, you're going to have some cash flow problems if you're in small business. And you want to make sure that you run smooth and that cash flow does what it needs to do. But I think Trump's done a better job at trying to set the scenario to where you run from Main Street up. You don't run an economy from Wall Street down. I mean, Main Street USA has to be doing well. And I think that overall, we're starting to see more of the Main Street economy come back.
Do you think that was what Reagan did?
Every bit of it.
I mean, that's similar to what he did.
Every bit of it, yeah.
Grew the economy from the bottom down.
Well, or the bottom up. I mean, you've got to have. If you don't have a healthy Main Street economy, I mean, you might as well, you just go hang it up, because I mean, you cannot run a country from Wall Street down.
Who else you going to do business with? The rich aren't going to spend the money, except on boats.
If you have got your regular working people that's been paying the taxes, day in and day out, and they're starting to do better. I think one of the things we've got to continue to work on is food costs. I mean, we talked about business costs, fixed costs being out of kilter. We were not accustomed to spending no more than 9-10%, in the last few years of our income. Now we're starting to see, food prices go up. So now we're hitting 15-18% of our income going to food costs. And, there again, that takes less disposable income to do other stuff that keeps the economy pushed in certain directions.
What do you think you learned from being raised on a cattle farm and a hay farm?
Well, some people say I'm a little different, Dee. I grew up on a self-sufficient farm till I was in the 7th grade. And I don't know that I covered that in the last discussion that we had, but we had an old Guernsey cow till I was in the 7th grade, and I had A2 milk. Some people say that might be a little bit what's wrong with me. I had too much A2 milk when I was a kid growing up. But mother made butter. We had chickens.
What's A2?
A2, you have two types of milk. A1 milk is what you're buying in the store that comes from your Guernseys, from your Holstein and Jersey cows. And we had an old Guernsey cow, and she gave us about 2 to 3 gallons of milk a week, and she raised 6 calves. We always kept a bottle calf on her, so she always kept a calf, that they would use the extra milk on. So we had tobacco. We had a huge garden that was, probably an acre. And not only did it feed us, it fed half the road up where we live. People stopped by, and grandmother did a great job with that and canned everything. So, we, had a smokehouse, had hogs. So, I probably grew up on one of the last self-sufficient farms that you can remember. I look at you ride down through the countryside now, and it's 40 years later, and it just grieves me to see the old Hardwick farm gone. How beautiful and picturesque Bradley County had the Hardwick farm, and now it's gone to development.
Yeah.
That's sad. That's a sad note that I see.
It's very sad.
And you look at who's going to grow our food down the road. 1.5% is growing the food for the other 98%. And, everybody still likes to eat 3 meals a day. And everybody's got something to say about it, if they like it or not. But, it's still one of the cheapest food supplies in the world.
It's a growing problem.
Oh, very much so.
It's got to be. It's got to be a problem.
If we don't have some new people starting to come into agriculture, and they can even be retired folks that want to do this for 10 or 12 years, but finding a niche. And there's niches out there. You look at and I'll use the example the Mennonite community in Delano and Englewood are doing. Mm-hmm. Look, hats off to those folks. They are working hard. They're putting organic food out on the table. My wife loves going to that market. I don't know,
I love it.
If you've been through one of those markets, it's one of the best things that to feed the family on. And it's affordable. But we need more farmers markets, more farm-to-table producers out there that we can buy from.
You'd think, how much could a person, say he had quarter of an acre. Could you systematically, how much could you?
Well, in today's time, it would be much different. But I had a friend of mine who retired, I guess sort of lived here in exile because he lost his farm in Africa, and when the communists drove him out. And he's a water engineer, and I told him I basically, got access to some water, and he says, well, you need to put 4 acres under greenhouse and just grow tomatoes. And he said, you're going to get wholesale $3 a pound because in the wintertime they're bringing $4 a pound. And I'm like, and this was like 4, 5, 6 years ago. And today, if you got hothouse tomatoes and they're in the peak time during the winter, coming in, you can do extremely well because there's certain crops that when because of scarcity and so forth, you can still do really well with those. And even if you're growing as a commercial producer. But see, we need to have more canneries. We need to have more processors. One of the things USDA's been trying to tackle is the meat processing shortages.
Boy, that's
because you've only got
shortage.
about 5 or 6 big boys that are out there trying to slaughter all the livestock, and 1 out of 4 hogs is owned by China, Smithfield Farms. And if we're not careful, Brazil and China are going to move in and try to control everything that we eat, and we're not going to be producing anything here.
Whatever happened to all the small slaughterhouses? I remember here we had Hill's meat packing place, and maybe a few others, but the slaughterhouses were, I don't know, there were 5, I guess.
100 years ago, every community had their slaughterhouse. And traditionally, it was downtown because everybody went to the meat market downtown and bought their groceries downtown.
Was it like one?
Generally. I mean, like Lay's was the meat producer in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
You've had different butchers and so forth, but they would have their own facilities. And then as trends changed, as we started, the supermarkets and so forth, all that changed. So they wanted one central warehouse that they could ship everything in and so forth. Well, as we get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you've watched it in business, all business has a cycle.
Sure.
So now it's like we went back 100 years and we're needing to go back to find those community slaughterhouses, those community producers that can produce and provide the food to a community. I mean, most communities could not survive if they didn't have their food shipped in.
Boy, I'll tell you what. How would you start your own slaughterhouse? I mean, how would you possibly? It's a lost art, even.
Well,
I don't even know if anybody know how to do it anymore.
There's some programs that are out there, and I think Wallace State above Knoxville has got a meat science. UT still has a meat science, food science. In fact, they've got a meat lab that they're bringing back. They shut some things down and reorganized at the University of Tennessee, and Senator Sutherland, Senator Nicely, late Senator Nicely provided some funding, and they've done a good job of getting that meat lab back up and going, and to where that they can teach that art, because definitely we have to have it as a country. It's almost like you talk about it being a lost art. It's almost national security, because a lot of people have to have the proteins that we have out there, and we're not producing it any other way.
And if it was a small operation, they might be more humane,
Well, there's a new trend, farm to table. Farmers need to be able to sell their product, have it processed, wrapped, to where they can sell it as a farm to table, and have the freezer space, cooler space and freezer space, to be able to store it and it be healthy and clean and sanitary. There's a lot of moving parts to be able to do that, but we saw a lot of the dairies start what I call value-added products. They'll start producing their own cheese, their own butter, because they weren't getting paid any other way. But and then you've even got some raw milk folks out there that'll buy cow shares to be able to have that raw milk, because they feel like that's a healthier whole milk.
Well, some people swear by it.
Oh, they do,
I don't know what the science is by that, but some people swear by it.
And it's the flavor of what people want, and those trends will change.
I've drunk this local milk here. I'll say local. We both know what I'm talking about, but man, you could read newspaper through it anymore. It's just not thick like it used to be.
Understand?
I mean, I just soon have water just about. You just can't find it anymore.
It's separated and changed from what it used to be.
Yeah, it's totally different.
There is, I'll tell you what I kind of like is the Weigel's milk. And I'll give them a shout out here. It's from the Tennessee dairies. They have the little label on there. The Dairy Association has told me about it, that they use exclusively Tennessee dairies. And that's coming from a lot of your producers.
What's the label on the?
It's just the Tennessee Department of Ag, that allows them to use Tennessee that all the milk came
So
from Tennessee.
Weigels has good thick milk.
Oh yeah. You look, your Weigels folks are good people.
Mm-hmm.
They've put a lot of new stores in. They've got their own branded niche of things that they do, but their milk is a good milk, and you've got some other folks are putting the whole milk back like it used to be, and I think President Trump signed a whole milk order the other day that should make it taste better. I've got a 5th grader. She goes to Rogers Creek. Mm-hmm. She said, "Daddy, we got to have better milk because of those little old cartons. You can taste the carton on it.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't. So
It won't float oatmeal in it.
No, it won't. No, it won't float oatmeal.
That's what I've noticed.
If kids realize that whole milk, if they get it home, tastes better than what they're getting at school, then we need to be putting whole milk back in.
It's like a milkshake without the sugar.
That's right. Well, they've separated it. And they've changed the structure of what it once was. So.
I feel like I'm being cheated. Weigels, I think that's the store that you don't have to have a rewards card to get the cheaper gas.
Well, they've done a good job in their marketing. All I'm saying is you just go try you a gallon of the Weigels and see how that turns out.
I'm gonna go home and get some of that tonight because this other stuff I'm buying is really expensive.
Get your Weigels whole milk and you're gonna like it.
So, if you planted a 1/4 acre in your backyard, how much money you think you could sell out of that at the local farmers market, money-wise?
Well,
if you were strategic.
I think you could probably triple your money if you worked it. But a lot of work. I mean, if you're willing to work it, I mean, you can triple. I mean, it'd be an income additive to the
on your own property.
That's right. And the beneficiary that you're going to get is if you've got all the canning equipment and you have a way to can the surplus. Mm-hmm. What you don't sell, if you can, I mean, that cuts on your grocery bill considerably. Mm-hmm. And, we all know the old people that we grew up around.
The bread and butter pickles, remember them? You had that in the dead of winter.
And the soups and the different...
soup starters.
That's right. The different stuff that you had there, and it was just...
Green beans.
Exactly.
We just don't do that no more.
The peas. I mean, they used to...
Peas, yeah.
A lot of people used to, have those old pea hullers that would...
I love peas.
Yeah.
What do you think you learned from those days that helps you now?
Well, I think in the times that we're in... if we did have issues here on the homeland, I mean, we'd learn how to survive. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think, when you get society that's 1 and 2 and 3 generations from the farm, they don't have that agrarian mindset. And I pretty much got an agrarian mindset in how I look at things. And I think we're going to need a little bit of that in Nashville at some point. It used to be that, for example, the Senate body, the state Senate body, used to be very agrarian in their mindset, and I give that,
especially here,
very much so.
Yeah,
and we've always kept low taxes. We've always looked at it. What's best for those local communities, and now we're starting to see the bigger cities and the bigger counties. Davidson County, Williamson County, if the Democrats are in charge, Davidson County wants to have all the say-so. Mm-hmm. Now that the Republicans are in charge, Williamson County wants to have all the say-so, and they don't care about what the little folks out in the corners say. But I think that needs to change, and certainly, that sort of led me to do some of the things that I'm sort of leaning toward.
So are you leaning towards running for public office?
I'm going to run for the state Senate District 1. And I've been collecting a lot of signatures across the district, all 4 counties. I think I've got enough signatures here for 500. I think the governor candidates are only going to collect maybe 750, 1,500, but I'm going to collect 500 signatures from across this district. And I've got a lot of support. And if you don't have a problem with it, I'd ask you to sign off on that at some point. But
it's all good to have a public... debates and stuff, isn't it? I mean,
we've got to do a better job at making sure that.
What's a good pen?
That's a nice one right there.
Decatur Funeral Home.
Yeah, Decatur Funeral Home gave me that ink
What's
pen.
a good pen?
But they, we've got to have the mindset of being able to work with our local leaders, our communities, to where they are getting some things done. I see a lot of low-hanging fruit that hadn't been done in a while. So that's one of the reasons I've decided to run, and hopefully that we can have some items that need to be dealt with.
Get some healthy debates going on, I guess, right?
Every bit of it.
What do you think is in starting the insurance companies? Was that they were rural also, right?
Very much so.
I mean, what's your? Seems like everything you do is for rural.
Not necessarily. You got to have a good team put together if you're going to grow. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can't grow because you don't have the right players in place. And I see Bradley County continuing to grow, but I think it's starting to plateau and starting to hit some peaks. And we've still got more people coming in, and it's going to put a strain on the infrastructure. Bradley County is going to have to be more on top of their infrastructure now than they ever have been, because you've got so many people using things. We've got communities outside of Cleveland, Bradley County, that are starting to bust at the seams. You look at Georgetown and Birchwood out there. I mean, they're just, that whole sector out through there in South Meigs County.
Wider and wider.
Well, South Meigs County is now becoming North Hamilton.
Birchwood, like Birchwood.
What we used to see
Four Corners.
Right, the old part of James County.
The junction.
What we used to see that used to be part of James County that Meigs County got years ago, 100 years ago.
Yeah, it was James County.
It was James County. It went bankrupt, and that south end of Meigs County.
All the way to Ottawa.
Right. Well, it was James County.
Yeah.
And, that part of the junction there at the Hamilton County line all the way to the river is really growing. That District 1 of Meigs County is growing. Dayton, I mean, like I said, it's going through what I call a gilded age. You've got $1.5 million, $2 million houses being built on the river, and then you got $400,000, $500,000 homes being built up on the mountain. You got a country music star that bought 200 acres up there.
Oh, who's that?
I can't talk. I'm working with them on something. I can't talk about that, but they're building a from scratch home facility, horse buildings, and all that kind of stuff.
For what reason? Just personal?
Personal. They're getting out of Hendersonville. So, I mean, you look at all these different people that are moving in. That planning has got to happen, but it's got to be done to where it fits your infrastructure. And right now, we're needing roads, we're needing bridges, we're needing. Dayton has just finished up, I think, a $35 million water plant, and I'll give the mayor kudos over there, Hurley Marsh. American Water wanted to buy their whole system. They kept their system. Now, they may have to go up on some rate and take some rate and so forth, but the people over there need to realize, holding on to control of your utilities is about like controlling the food that you've got coming in, too.
That's right.
You don't want nobody controlling your water. You don't want nobody controlling your food source. I mean, that's a basic fundamental that I give the mayor credit for holding on to. I mean, American Water would basically take the surplus and use it in Chattanooga and limit what they could do. One of the things that's coming, and we may have talked about this in the previous episode, is the electrical grid. I predict at some point that there's going to be a major push in the next 3 years to really improve the electrical grid. I mean, last year alone, 24,000 new meters were installed in Nashville, Tennessee. There's only 15,000 meters in Meigs County. So that much more electricity had to be pumped into metropolitan Davidson County. And they're doing it on the same size lines that they've always had for the last 50, 60 years. So there's got to be some upgrade across the country in our grid.
There's got to be a breaking point to that.
Every bit so.
And plus, if you take just people getting Tesla cars, just 10% of the people deciding to plug them in instead of gas, that's got to have an effect.
With the briefing that I had recently at the National Lab, with what I can talk about, they are working on that issue.
What can they do?
Well, there's a lot of things that they have coming online that's been really important, and I think you're going to see a reduction in the size of the batteries that are going in the cars. They're going to have the same
to store them.
Yeah, they're going to have the same charge, but instead of being big as this table, they're going to be much smaller and have the ability to run longer.
So it'd just be storing the energy.
That's right. But you still got to be able to have the energy
to charge it
to charge it and go and be able to process it. So I still think that you're going to see a lot of that happen. Now, I will say this: that may be slow coming since we've got all this access to the new oil that we've and the prices are starting to come down. And there again, we start talking about the affordability. When we kind of get those costs in line, then everything else, one of your major fixed costs is fuel costs and fertilizers. And whenever those two elements there, like in food, those prices should start coming down.
Gasoline is one of the biggest factors in cost.
That diesel fuel. That's right. Gas and diesel fuel.
They get diesel fuel from gas, same thing?
Yes.
So they just turn it into diesel, I guess?
Well, the diesel's processed a little different.
But it's still oil.
That's right. It's an oil base.
But I think that, my opinion, you ever heard that law, the Adams rule of slow-moving events? That the basic premise is that when you see a problem coming early enough and slow enough, that society will find a solution before it becomes a problem.
Every bit of it.
The thing I'm seeing with the electric cars is this. If you can get in one of those cars with this new technology and with Microsoft Copilot and all of this stuff, and you can say, take me to the courthouse and get in the car, and as long as that thing sees you watching the steering wheel, it'll drive you, it'll merge traffic, it'll stop at stop signs, it'll recognize a walker ahead of you. Now, how long is it going to be before people just simply summons a vehicle through say, pick me up here instead of an Uber driver? It'll just be a cab.
The AI technology that we have, I think it's already there with certain things. I don't think that our society is ready for that. That may happen in 20 years, but I don't see it happening in the next 10.
I see it defying that Adams law of slow-moving issues. I see it as we're just going to wake up one morning and most people are, as soon as they get these cars to where they're not 185,000, when they get them down to 40 or 30.
But Dee, there's so many problems with them right now that you cannot. Like if you have a flash flood or you have high water and they're going through that high water, I mean there's some issues that they just can't endure.
I think they will solve those at a rapid pace. I mean, there's real smart people working on this.
I get that.
It's bizarre. I just think that it's going to happen a lot faster than we realize. I think that's going to be one of our biggest problems. I don't think that electricity and all of these utility companies, I don't think they can keep up with electricity, even if they try.
Well, the problem that you've got, and what was explained to me that I can talk about, we've got these new microgrids that are going to need to come online.
What's a microgrid to the?
A community would be generating their own electricity, kind of like solar powered used to, and a lot of folks are against the solar fields and wind power and so forth, but we may have more areas out there that need to have, to start producing their own. Because if the metro areas are taking in a majority of the electricity, it's going to have some deficiencies out in rural America. Rural America and our rural part of our counties that we have around us still need to be adequately covered. I mean, Bradley County is going to keep draining more and more electrical currency, and they're going to have to rebuild a lot of the area coming in, these new substations and so forth. But if there's ways to add power to that, I'll brag on a producer and a businessman up the interstate here, Ted Wampler, Wampler Sausage. Mm. They put in a solar field up the side of one of those mountains up there that runs the sausage company to this day. I think it runs one of the homes, the children's center. If you look at how he has set that up, and it's just completely in-house, and he did that early on. And he's proven the cost savings and what it can happen there. I think more businesses will start putting in on their own generating
every
power.
Roof.
Yeah,
every roof. Now,
every schoolhouse. All right, look.
Every schoolhouse.
One of the biggest costs that the county government has is the electric bill to all the schoolhouses
and leaky roofs.
That's right.
Put the two problems together.
That's right. So I mean, there's going to be ways that government, I think, will end up being one of the first big beneficiaries of the microgrids if they will utilize a lot of their resources so that they're basically turning the meter backwards.
They need to make a rubber roof that has solar wires in it. Solve the two problems.
Well, I don't know that it'll have wires in the roof. I think you'll have the roof put on, and it'll be a 40 or 50-year roof, and then you could very well, because nobody's going to be up there, have solar panels or types of panels that are movable, that move with the rays of the sun.
Yeah.
I think you could very well have that in the future coming, and that's going to be a cost reduction to the taxpayer. It's going to be a cost reduction for county government.
So what happens to that power? Does it feed back into?
Feeds back into the system.
Into TVA? Or
well, it would basically be collected and then it feeds back into the system.
And so could you sell this back to the system?
It would be.
I guess it'd be something.
Well, in a lot of states, they allow that.
Yeah.
I mean, and depending either on the Public Service Commission in those respective states or how state law is currently written for them to be able to do that. I would like to definitely have my stab at trying to, make where power can be obtained and generated from those farms. I mean, we have some farms that have water, and there's no reason why they can't use some of these ponds generating the overflow, generating electricity from the runoff. And
the runoffs that they're trying to stop, harness it.
Yeah,
harvest.
Harness the runoff, the flow that's going out there, and I definitely think that would be a help and a start as well.
You could a community could be totally controlled by its utility company, because you've got to have. If you didn't have, if they turned the lights off, we'd be handicapped.
For communities to function and run and be profitable, there's going to be more discussions about power, water, the basic necessities that are going to be stretched the next 100 years. And you look at what has already hit us and what's coming at us, those discussions are going to have to be had.
It's going to take people smarter than me to figure that out. But I think it's coming quicker than you're thinking. I think it's going to be just towards the end of this year. I really think it's going to be that quick. I mean, there's more tests. I went out of town to Arizona And I looked in the parking lot, and there were 4 Teslas. They're getting out there more than you realize. And now these other companies are coming out with their own version of electric cars, and they're all going to be plugged in.
Well, I'm still, I guess I'm just old-fashioned, D. I'm not going to go out and buy an electric tractor yet. I'm going to still keep my old tractors because, to be able to farm, I can't afford that $100,000 tractor just yet. I'm going to keep my old tractor.
You'll be like that guy on Green Acres.
That's
What's
right,
his name?
Mr. Haney. I'll be like Mr. Haney.
No,
on
not
Green
Mr.
Acres.
Haney. The guy that the man. What was his name? Mr. Haney was the one that tried to sell everything.
That's right.
That was.
But anyways, I'm not going to give up my old tractors just yet.
Well, you don't have to, but I think that I think it's not a slow moving problem. I think it's going to be a.
Well, look, I agree that it's coming, and I know it. The AI, all of these issues that are out there, we're going to have to deal with that at a lightning pace. And if we're not going to deal with that, I mean, China's going to get ahead of us, and our enemies are going to use that against us. If we don't get control of the technology in this country, and be on top of it, somebody else is going to be. So, have
they made good advances in the solar panels? I haven't really kept up with that, but I don't know.
They've changed, and they're also changing different windmill structures and that kind of thing. But I'm still not a windmill fan.
Neither.
There's a lot of solar panels I don't like.
But you think back out on all these Western movies, there was always a windmill out there. What was it doing?
Pumping water.
If you didn't need water?
It's still pumping. It's still pumping.
Or did you just have to engage?
You just had to engage it to pump water when you needed it.
Other than that, it really wasn't doing anything.
But normally, the windmill would fill up a reserve, so you'd have a reserve.
I see. So that was really its own only purpose.
That's right. But
how do you know all this stuff?
Oh, I've studied a lot.
In school or what?
Oh yeah, I've been around a lot of different a lot of different farms out there. There's a lot of different types of farms out across the country that, I mean, they do stuff entirely different in Oklahoma and Missouri than what we do here.
What's one thing you found common about the farmer?
All of them want to save money. I mean, farming, yes, costs a lot of money to be able to do it.
Are they? Or do you think that they're innovative?
Oh, they're innovative to the nth degree. I mean,
is that because they're thrifty, or is that their nature? Which is it?
Some of the best engineers I've seen come from the farm. Being able to figure out a way to produce something more efficient, better product, getting those products to market, that takes some innovation. One of the farms over in Middle Tennessee, Flowers Dairy, they were only getting paid so much for their milk, and they came up with this process for cheese, and they've got a great product over there, and they've done really well with it. I'm very proud of those folks. You look at a lot of these farms here, they may have beef, cattle, and hay, but they may have went to some ag tourism because of the pumpkins and the corn mazes, and
sunflowers.
Well, and I mean, you look at what Mayfields have done up there, at their farm location, and they've did a lot of great conservation work up there on that farm. I mean, there's a lot of property up there that they can continue to work, nonstop work all the time, what they've got going on up there. But each farm works differently. I mean, to be able to make it work. And,
But the innovative spirit is common in all of them.
Well, to survive, it's survival. What do I do to survive?
One thing is save money and be thrifty, I guess.
But you're always asking that question. What does my farming operation do to survive?
I was building a house for this farmer one time, and he said, He said, hey, tell the electricians I want a light switch right here. And it was in the middle of the wall. You know, it wasn't like when you walked through the door, it was right there. So I just said, out of curiosity, why do you want it in the middle of the wall? He said, well, when I come in, I bring my groceries, I want to hit it with my elbow. It was just out of the door. When he shut the door, he was able to hit it with his elbow. So that was innovative, wasn't it? That was a smart place for him.
I mean, they're everybody wants what they want, you know. I mean, and it's.
But I mean, that was handy.
That's right.
That was thinking out of the box. That was handy for him.
Yep.
And that was a farmer.
Well, every minute of the day is accounted for.
Mm-hmm. Why is it you don't see any farmers out working? I mean, when you drive by, they're not out there. Are they? Is it in the morning, or are they on the tractor? Or?
Most have a schedule. I mean, and it's just like, you know, they're going to, you know, if it's not ready to be harvested, they're not working.
Right.
I mean, when season hits, you know, when hay season hits, the last of May, 1st of June, you're not going to see me very much. The last of May, 1st of June, I'll be in the hayfield.
And maybe they're in the barn.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. It has nothing to do with anything, but I was riding my bike out through way up in Charleston, and it came an absolute downpour. I mean, just 1 second, the road was that much sheets of water. So I managed to get inside this open barn shed thing out of the. I mean, it was raining so hard it was blowing inside there, and so it was just me and this gray cat. This gray cat came up to me. I don't know if it was a stray or what, but anyway, so I looked over and there was a truck. I don't know, 5 stalls down, and the door was open, and I convinced myself that somebody was in that truck, but they weren't. It's just a funny farm story. So, you know, all kinds of stuff like that on farms, you know.
We got barn cats. We got the farm dogs. I mean, it's just, you know, I could tell you 1,000 stories about, you know, that kind of stuff. It's a different way of life. And you know, it's a rewarding way of life. And certainly, you know, when you look at, we still have a lot of those producers in our area. We've had quite a few starting to retire, and it kind of, you know, worries you about the food supply. But, you know, we've got you know, we can talk about farms, but we've also got school issues. We've got a lot of other issues that are out there. And, you know, we were talking about, you know, me running for the Senate and so forth. Yeah, I've decided to do that because when I did a little bit of investigative work in 2014, the state budget was $27 billion. How much do you think the budget is today?
I have no clue.
In 2025, it has grown to $59.9 billion.
Double it.
Since 2014, $27 billion. In 2025, it's $59.9 billion. I know we got to have some growth. We got to have some things that happen.
Where'd the money go? I hadn't got any yet.
Well, I'm a little bit. I guess it's just the Trumpisms that are out there that I'm starting to ask questions. You know, Elon Musk did a Doge.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
I'm ready for a Toge in Tennessee. Okay? So, I mean, we're going to, on this show, we're going to invent a new term for everybody to hear. It's called Toge. You know, I mean, because I really think that needs to happen. And one of the examples, if you look at this last bill that was adopted in the last legislature, where they gave $163 million, and some will call it vouchers, some will call it scholarships out there. There's no accountability in the end to tell you who got those scholarships, why they got those scholarships, how many little Johnnies that had horrible schools took those scholarships and went someplace else. There's no accountability there.
Well, we don't need anything without accountability.
And now they're going to ask for another $140 million
for that same
program?
program?
For the same program, and there's no accountability to it, Dee.
And then they want me to pay state income tax, sales tax. Is that what funds that? Sales tax?
Well, it needs to be toged. Because if you go to looking at some of the places that money has came from, if it's a surplus someplace or money that hadn't been spent, why was that money not addressed and used for those specific areas? And some of it may have been health related. So we've had this discussion, and you're having a local discussion about health issues. Health, is out there. There still needs to be a lot of clinics built in rural Tennessee, because the majority of your women that's dying of breast cancer are not getting adequate health care in the rural areas because there's not a doctor there. If I get elected to the Senate, I'm going to be a little bit brazen here on your show, and I'm going to say, look, we need to look, if Memphis can't get its act together, because there's a lot of families that don't want to send their kids to that medical school out there in Memphis, they need to move the medical school back up here to East Tennessee someplace, and part of the class, go to help the rural Tennessee.
Well, ETSU,
they've got the Quillen Medical School up there.
but boy, you can't I got a son trying to get in there, and you can't hardly get in there. I think what do you have to do to get in?
And a lot of your other kids that would go normally go to Memphis because they're having shootings daily, not weekly or on occasion.
Yeah, it's only 6 hours away. It's real convenient.
But it's like Gangland, which now all right, I'm gonna give Trump credit. They went in there, and they've cleaned up a lot.
They scared them to death.
They scared them to death, and give the president and ICE their due. They found about 130-something kids that had been human trafficked. That was horrible situations that just beyond imaginable that they found, and they took care of a lot of those issues over there. But you still got that same leadership, and if they continue to do things over and over again like they've always done, crazy will prevail once again unless there's a fundamental change.
And that's our neighbor. That's Memphis, Tennessee. That's not Wyoming or
all right, public
California.
education would be much higher ranked. All right, and I brought girls from Alabama, which is 48th, to come to school in Tennessee, okay, years ago. Girls will have a better chance in the Tennessee education system up here that we have. All right, Tennessee at that time was ranked 24th. But if you hadn't had Davidson County, Nashville city schools and the Memphis city school system and Shelby County bringing down the average, we would have probably been 6-8 points higher than
Why are
what
they
24.
so high? Who's running that over there? Who are the two people?
Well, it's the Democrats that are running it. It's Democrat leadership.
Is it the mayor or the towns?
It's a combination of everything. There's some fundamental change that needs to happen.
They need to say, hey, we're cutting these fundings off so you get your stuff together.
Well, and that's the only thing they understand.
That's the only thing they understand. That's the only thing we can do that they understand.
That's right. But hats off to Bradley County, McMinn, Meigs, and Rhea counties for doing their job. We don't have that problem with education.
Can our governor do anything?
Possibly. And whoever gets elected governor it's going to be important how whoever gets elected governor, that's going to be an important factor on how they deal with public education.
See, that's a slow-moving problem.
Right, but let me go back just a second. A lot of people complain about public ed, and I know we have some good private schools in our area too. They're to be commended as well, and some great home schools, okay? We've got some great people doing some great homeschooling. But in our public ed system, where do the teachers come from? They're coming from Lee University, they're coming from Tennessee Wesleyan, and they're coming from Bryan College. Now, we've got a few that come from UTC. We've got a few that come from University of Tennessee. But primarily, and over in Cookeville, all right, so we've got a good pool of people that are coming to teach our kids in public education system. They're good folks. Now, every once in a while, we'll get one that comes in from Berkeley, California. And it only takes about 6 months a year, and we run them off. But, that as a whole, when you look at where our people that are teaching our kids are coming from, they've got a pretty good Judeo-Christian background. And I know what the product Lee University turns out. Those folks are doing a great job down there. So, we've got good public schools. We just need to be able to support them. And this voucher program out there, which potentially has the ability to be $300 million, you know, that's going to throw us over the 60 billion mark.
What does that mean? What is the voucher? That means you can go to a charter school or
We're
private
halfway
school?
funding a Christian education, but fully funding a Muslim education. And the leadership that voted for those vouchers own that, because there's probably we've started doing our research where we can get the information that we want. Remember, there's no accountability to see who got the money, but we know between 8 and 14 Muslim schools that hate the Constitution of the United States, that hate the Constitution of Tennessee, we've been giving them money. And 1 or 2 of them, it's like Mount Pleasant Academy, and it sounds fine and wonderful. It's in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. You've got about 3 over in Memphis and 2 in Nashville, a couple of them in Murfreesboro area, 1 in Knoxville, a couple in Chattanooga.
Nobody knows this.
That's right. You don't know an exact number because there's not an accountability to it. You can halfway fund a Christian education, but fully fund a Muslim education. We see the problems that we've had in Minnesota with the Somalis and the corruption that's went on there. There's a new term, and I challenge everybody to read up on it. It's called micro schools. You do your own homework. It's called micro schools. And these little co-ops and micro schools are getting this money. And they're not accountable as public education is accountable to teach to a certain standard. They're getting money, but they're not supposed to teach to the standard.
Why are we giving them money?
Because they applied for it.
Well, why don't they just say, hey, we can't do that?
Well, then I'd like to know, under the accountability, how many were denied the voucher or the scholarship.
Right.
So, I mean, because everybody's applied for it, we're just giving it.
I think
where's the standard, Dave?
I think the state should only fund public education.
Let me read you something.
I don't want anybody's different sectors supported.
Under Article 11, Section 12 of the Tennessee Constitution, I encourage everybody listening to call their state rep, their state senator, and get a copy of the Tennessee Constitution. Section 12, the state of Tennessee recognizes the inherent value of education and encourages its support. The General Assembly shall provide for the maintenance, support, and eligibility standards of a system of free public schools. The General Assembly may establish and support such post-secondary education institutions, including public institutions of higher learning, as it determines.
As it determines.
But it's public. There's a key word there, public education.
I'm okay with public education. I'm just not for giving money to any different groups.
Everybody listening on this podcast needs to get a copy of the Constitution of the state of Tennessee.
Is that different than the Tennessee Code Annotated?
No, this is the...
Or is that the boiled down version?
This is the Tennessee Constitution. Every state has its Constitution.
That's not the Tennessee Code Annotated.
No, this is the Constitution of the state of Tennessee. It's
not that big.
We are a constitutional republic as a nation. Every state has
This is our rules?
That is the Constitution of the state of Tennessee. We have the United States Constitution, but we also, each state across America has its own Constitution. A little civics lesson.
Hand that to the police officer that stops you for speeding next week. He'll pull his gun on you.
But it's not only this one. There's other issues. If you adopt law, and let's talk about narratives just a second. You've been in business. Mm-hmm. Somebody can give you a narrative and say, okay, everybody's for vouchers. There's 70% of people say, I want a voucher.
What is a voucher? I'm ignorant on this.
Well, the state pays each school so much per child. So they have derived that as the amount. It's like $7,000.
So if I'm teaching public education, I get funded by the state, and the state gives me so much money for a
Per student.
and they call it a voucher.
Well, or a scholarship, however they're working it now.
To me, it's just a way to measure how much money your school gets.
That's right.
Okay.
But there's not been a decrease in the enrollment across the state of public ed. Now, certain systems have lost students, but as a whole, all the numbers are staying the same. They can't tell you, the kids that are leaving, where they went.
Where are they going?
Good question. Either to a co-op or to a private school or a private Christian school. Some of these that have already been getting, or that have started getting the voucher or the scholarship, have always been going to a private school. So all we've done is just help families out with the tuition.
To a private school.
To a private school.
That may be for whatever reason. We don't know.
And we don't know what standard they have.
We don't know.
We don't know what they're not SACS
They
accredited.
may be taking they may be teaching satanic stuff.
Whatever.
We don't know.
Just whatever.
We don't know.
There's not a standard there. But like your Christian schools there's a lot of them that do a pretty good job that are out there. A lot of them are supplemented by this now.
Does that violate the separation between church and state?
I think there's a problem with, I don't know from that angle, but I think from the angle of the Constitution, there's a gray area there.
Sounds to me like there's a gray area.
I mean, from what I just read you, there's a gray area.
I'd hate to think that I was in charge and parents were choosing not to send their kids to our school. Wouldn't that be a slap in the face? I mean,
what this does, and you've got certain groups out there, Americans for Prosperity have pushed this to the nth degree. And they pushed one of my opponents who's currently sitting in the seat, and they gave him I think $123,000 of dark money. I call it dark money because it come out of Washington, D.C. It was like a political drive-by shooting when Mark Hall and him was running, you can't recover from some kind of money that gets dropped on you like that. But that's it's not coming from the district. But these are the same folks 2 years ago that was supporting Nikki Haley in Iowa fighting Donald Trump. So I'm the Trump guy in this race that's coming up, and you've got the Americans for Prosperity crowd that's out doing their thing, and like there again, you've got narratives. So we were sold in Republican meetings and all these big meetings that everybody wants vouchers, and that's going to be part of the legislative system agenda this last year. So they adopted a bill, and it caused a lot of angst with a lot of different people because there's a lot of people that hung their political capital on this school voucher bill. These folks have their own agenda. It's not our agenda here at home. It's not our community schools. They could care less about our communities. They have an agenda to drive on education that should have had some accountability. So where did the money go? Thus the need for a TOJ.
What's to keep me from saying, I've got a school here and I've got 50 students. Send me the money for the 50 students.
If you've got the registrations, then you applied for it, and you're not proving anything.
They come in and say, where are they at? Say, well, they all took off. They all got the flu. They all got COVID.
Well, you see what happened with the Somali learning centers up in Minnesota.
This is what they're talking about.
There's got to be some accountability for anything that we're spending money on from now on.
Is there not?
Not like it should be.
Or else we're going to turn into another one of those things.
That's right.
And have more of this Memphis stuff and this Davidson County.
That's right. That's
becoming a cancer.
Or you're going to have more little Muslim schoolhouses that hate the Constitution. What we swear that we will uphold.
They hate us.
What we will, they do not assimilate to our country, but they want our money so that they can perpetuate what they're doing. Use our system against us.
It take a farmer to figure out to know that.
Sometimes you got to figure out. Sometimes you got to figure out where the weeds are. Okay, there's a lot of different types of weeds that are out there in farming, and sometimes it takes somebody to figure out where the weeds are.
Does this stuff bother you really deeply?
I see the communities that I grew up in fading, and a lot of it is because they have not been promoted and pushed. I want to be able to serve and be able to help, and what I see happening is a lot of the communities that I grew up in, and I know things can't always be the same, but I want to be a guardian and a gatekeeper of state, because I don't look, a lot of these senators that are out there, they want to be majority leader. They want to be, lieutenant governor. They want to be, the one in charge over a committee or whatever. I want to be the one that sometimes hits the skillets together in the kitchen and say, "Oh, wait a minute." Sometimes somebody's got to, pull the brake switch and say, "Let's talk about it and work on it."
But why do you really care?
I want my kids to have a better future than what I had. And I think all of us are inherited. We want the next generation to do better than what we've had. If you've not had any kids, you've never bought any property, you don't have much skin in the game, so to speak, why are you serving in office? And I feel like I've paid my taxes. I feel like I've tried to help take care of the system, but I see the system breaking down in many ways. I want us to be able, if we're paying a tax dollar in, I want to know where that tax dollars went. I want to see the country that I grew up in held together for another 250 years. I mean, this is our anniversary this year, 250th anniversary of the Constitution.
I mean, it really deeply bothers you.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not being flippant.
No,
you're serious.
I'm very serious about it. And I think all of us, what we saw happen in the last 4 years, and I think it runs in cycles. We saw the misery index of Jimmy Carter and how the economy happened in Jimmy Carter.
Remember
all right,
that.
Dee, it's run another cycle, a similar cycle under the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. What bothers me is what's happening to the Democrat Party. You look at the total, they don't have nobody sitting on their team bench.
Unless something happens,
we're looking at 12 years of Republican rule.
16 maybe.
If the Democrat Party can't get their act together and learn it's the economy stupid and try to find somebody that can economics 101. I mean they're more into this social order and how you say things and their pronouns, and I mean they went off the rails.
They're different than my grandfather's Democrat Party that he was.
If I try to talk to some of those old Democrats that just, and I'm very leery about, because they don't even want to talk about it. Right. They just want to run from it because they know. Mm-hmm. They know. And there's still a few what I call old hardheads that, because grandma and grandpa was that way and mom and daddy was that way. They're not going to change because they feel like they're going against a family culture.
Their religion.
It's intertwined somehow. But they know. And you've had so many come over to the Republican Party. You've probably got about 4 different factions in the Republican Party right now. You've got a million more
that we can define.
Right, you've got a million more voting Republicans in the state of Tennessee than you have Democrats. So other than those what I call metro Democrat areas, Republicans are always going to win the game all day long.
Well, it will migrate. It will migrate at a faster rate than we think.
Well, and you ask about how I feel about things. I'm as MAGA as they come. Make America great again. Make America healthy again. I've got a kid that's probably going to end up doing something in the health field. Mm-hmm. And we have these discussions all the time, and it gets eventful because we banter back and forth, sure. A daughter and father will do, and it's become very very challenging sometimes because she's throwing details and statistics, and I'm learning a lot because you know, the amount of food that it takes to feed our country is unreal. And the chemicals that are being used and the overall debate that's happening across the country, you know, with all the sugars and the salts and the different elements that it takes just to produce the magnitude of food that we have. And I know the SNAP program, USDA is redoing the total SNAP program. And they're looking at, in Alabama, taking the sugary drinks and the energy drinks off the SNAP and putting rotisserie chicken on. There's a rule that's been out there for years that nobody can buy anything off of a deli. So is it not cheaper for that SNAP recipient to get that rotisserie chicken that would feed a family of 4 2 meals?
That's lobbyist work in there, because that doesn't make any good sense.
So let's look at it from a legislative standpoint. Why do we not need to be taking care of those programs if they're so important? We got to have them. And I'll say the food stamp program is a good program. We've got to have it, but it don't need to be abused. And you look at what is bought, that those families that are in need of that program when it's needed, there's some things that need to be on it and revised. And I applaud USDA for looking at it. And Trump's going to turn those programs over to the states to run. Well, if we're going to run it, we better be able to toge it. We need to know where the problems are going to be.
Yeah, or else I just don't want to send the money in if I've got to worry about them giving it away to groups that don't have nothing to do with the basic what's in that book.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story is about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
Maybe there's a deeper reason you feel obligated to fight this fight. I mean, you're not coming in here talking about farming or the insurance business, or you're real avid about talking about these specific problems that seem to really bother you.
Well, all right. I work for a lot of different campaigns. I've seen a lot of the same problems, working for different candidates and so forth. Every sheriff in our district is the frontline mental health officer. All right? There's several issues.
Agreed.
There's several issues that have got to be took care of.
And not very good at it, but agreed.
Well, they're doing it. If somebody has a mental health issue and they're on drugs, then they're double crazy.
That's right. They got problems.
And the deputies, they put their life on the line because of dealing with a lot of these situations. There's, when they close down all the mental hospitals that are needing to be out there, those have got to be dealt with. And if we've got all of this money surplus that we're finding something to spend it on every year, why are we not taking care of some of the problems that we inherently have that we need to be taking care of? And I use that as an example. But you've got, the schools have got issues on their curriculums. We're not pushing the top 3% of our kids. Every other developed country pushes academically their top. China takes their top that they have and send them over here to spy on us. Go to our places of higher education. We have got to start pushing our top 3% across the country, and we can start here at the state level where they can apply for those jobs up at Oak Ridge Lab. because they're bringing folks in from everywhere else around the country, and we're not pushing our kids to be in those top jobs. It's a mindset change.
Right.
For public ed to be successful going forward, it's going to have a mindset change and a reset. It can't continue to be the same as it's always been.
Which one of your family members were more like this, like you? Was it your father or your grandfather or who?
I'm going to say I had a grandmother that was a child of the Depression. She had a third grade education because that's all that she was allowed to have in life, and always wanted to have a little more learning than what she had. And she was very well read. It's a lot of self-taught. A lot of people helped her through the years. But you remember that era of the Depression-minded people.
Mm-hmm. Different.
And they were different-minded people, mm-hmm. and when you see those folks what they went through, and a lot of the tough times that they had in this country, it instills in you that we need to be mindful not to let a lot of that stuff happen. And then we've went through a lot of that in the Carter years. I mean, it wasn't a depression; it was a recession kind of thing.
Was she alive then?
Yes, she was alive then, and she had one of the biggest gardens in the country. Everybody stopped and got food from her. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's people that didn't have work that she fed. You know, I mean, and you see how a lot of folks did things, and everybody helped each other. There's a spirit of community, and everybody helped each other more than what you would see going on today. Mm-hmm. So, had an old-fashioned grandma.
Would she want you running for office?
I don't know. I mean, that's something. I think.
What was her name?
Imogene Beavers.
Imogene Beavers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she pushed all her grandkids to do better than she did. Mm-hmm. She's very proud.
She wouldn't borrow money for toilet paper.
Oh no. I remember she told me she borrowed $300 one time when the tobacco crop came in. She paid it every dime of it
Scared
back.
her to death.
Scared her to death having
Scared
money
her to
back.
death.
That's right.
Those people born then were just cut from a different. Maybe they weren't, but they had to learn it quick. You got it. Those people are about 96 today.
Yep. If
they're still alive.
Well, she's been gone since 94.
But I mean, they're about 96 years old.
Yeah, well...
How old was she in 94?
She was 78. So she was born in 16.
So she would have been how old now?
115, something like that.
But somebody around 96 was lived through that period.
Yeah, I mean,
she was old enough to see it, good times and then bad. And then
she saw
the whole thing.
She saw the whole thing and saw when we come through the war. See, those people, what they did and sacrificed during World War II. I mean, we don't talk about the home front.
We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about that home front, but those people...
They were picking up tin cans.
Oh, they saved everything. They saved everything. I just wish...
They didn't throw away a piece. Like this piece of paper here, there'd be a stack of it somewhere.
And they would be using it for something.
They'd be using the backside. That's the people that made America great.
That's right.
We're just living it.
That's right. That's right.
Was your grandmother a good steward?
Every bit of it. She recycled everything. I was given a set of chores at probably 6, 7, 8 that I had to do. Did you get this done? Did you get that done? Did you get that done? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Did you stay at her house a lot?
Oh, I did. And I remember I cut a deal with her one time. In the summertime, the garden would come in. It'd all come in. They'd just be covered up. And I told her, I said, Grandma, I'll go to the garden and I'll pick every green bean you got, but please don't ask me to break those green beans. That was just so tedious. It would just drive me nuts. So, okay. Yeah. I mean, all those got are things that we hang up on. I don't break green beans. Okay. I'm not going to do that. I'll go pick them and somebody else can process them.
Those people did not watch TV without picking beans.
Well,
they were always busy.
Hold on. Pick beans and read the newspaper. That's what, They knew what the sale was at the...
String beans.
That's right.
Is what they used to pick them and string them.
That's right. Canned tomatoes. Mm-hmm. all the different. I mean, there's a culture
Crocheted,
difference. She never
quilts.
crocheted. Oh, they did some quilts. But you know, I mean, it was constant work. I mean, it was just absolute constant work. Those folks.
And how old was she when she passed away?
78. 78. But no, I can tell you stories about just that have been passed down through the years, and when you see waste, when you see opportunities that could be, all right, there's a lot of opportunities out there that and everybody sit down on public ed right now, and I know there's some changes that's got to happen. I mean, there's some issues out there. I mean, they need to go back teaching cursive writing, phonics, basic math. I mean, you know, you try to hire people in your construction business that can't do basic math, can't read a rule. There's some basic things, basic word problems, basic structure that always worked through the years that made us great. They need to adopt those again.
Well, somebody like your grandmother going into public schools would be just astonished right now what they're trying to teach them.
What they're feeding them.
And feeding them, yeah.
So, I've got to run.
Dennis, what else is going on? You got anything else you want to say?
Well, I'd like to come back sometime when you get ready to talk about healthcare.
I love you, man.
Look.